what is the best castle boss from every Mega Man X game?
Mega Man X1 has Vile, who is obviously not going to be the best castle boss on account of not being a castle boss to begin with. If you've seen the last few castle boss videos, you already know this, but just as a refresher, this Vile is not really a castle boss. He's more of a cutscene in the middle of the level, and I'm also not going to be counting Sigma, but I will eventually do a video ranking every version of Sigma as well as ranking every version of Dr. Wily if that's something that you guys want to see. But with Sigma and Vile out of the picture, the best castle boss is not going to be as iconic, but it's still going to be a banger, or at the very least, the best castle boss from this game. And let's just start things off right by eliminating D-Rex. First of all, this guy is a stupid name, but more importantly, I always forget this guy is even in the game, which is not a great start on an application for being the best castle boss. The design of this boss fight isn't bad or anything, it's just kind of boring and forgettable. It's not super hard, it's not super easy, it just doesn't stand out in any way at all whatsoever, and it's easily the most forgettable castle boss from this game, and maybe even of all time. So, yeah, D-Rex is not going to be the best. We also have a big ugly spider as a castle boss, and if those first two adjectives did not clue you in, I do not like this big ugly spider. Now, I may be biased because I actually just don't like spiders at all. In fact, when I woke up this very morning, I sat down in my computer chair that you guys always see me in on camera, and what do I see slowly dangling down in front of my face? A spider! I hated that moment, and I sincerely hope I was hallucinating due to just getting out of bed, but after an event like that, I don't think I could say anything good about this spider boss, so I won't. In fact, let me complain about it even further. Not only is this guy a spider, which sucks, but his fight is also stupid. You have to play a Windows XP minigame of following the pipeline while he occasionally breaks the pattern and throws baby spiders all over you. That is absolutely horrible. I'm sure you guys understand why. At least I hope so. But with that being said, that means the best castle boss is going to have to go to Rangda Bangda. Now, I'm sure most of you guys saw this coming because Rangda Bangda is awesome. He has a cool design, a fun boss battle, and is probably the most iconic castle boss next to Sigma and Vile. I love how his eyes have different colors. I love how the entire boss fight is a face. I mean, this has always been one of my favorite castle bosses in general, and while I don't know what the public opinion on Rangda Bangda is, I don't care. This is my video, and I'm declaring Rangda Bangda as the best castle boss from Mega Man X. Mega Man X2 has much better options for us to go over here for best castle boss, so this should be a lot more fun. First of all, there's no Vile, so that's good, but we still are not counting Sigma in case you didn't get the memo. Let's start by looking at this weird deformed version of Agile. This guy is obviously not going to be the best castle boss because he's weird. But he's still better than 2/3 of the Mega Man X castle bosses. He's purple, so that's a plus, I like that color. Plus, he is a fun target practice for both the Shoryuken and the Magnet Mine, which is saying a lot because Magnet Mine is the worst weapon of all time, or at least in Mega Man X2, as I said in my video. But regardless, this guy cannot be the best. The crazy old man needs to be given some credit too. I've been complaining about him a whole lot in the past few videos, and for good reason. I mean, his fight is awful and there are spikes everywhere, so I feel like I have every right to be upset about this fight. But when we consider the fact that this is a crazy old man who built an entire machine on a whim for this Sigma Castle stage, it's hard not to appreciate. Sure, I hate this fight, but it's commendable at the very least. But he's still not going to be the best. Violin, on the other hand, is also a very cool boss, and he's pretty difficult if you don't know the chi strats, so once again, he's just respectable all around. But he's also ugly. I mean, he looks like a bulldog or a pug or something mixed with I don't know, a ball. On top of that, we can't ignore the cheese, which makes the entire fight trivial. If there was no cheese, this fight would be a lot cooler just because unlike his counterparts, he doesn't undergo any type of transformation in his castle fight, yet he still manages to be just as hard as everyone else, if not harder. But even if he did have all of that going for him by ignoring the cheese and everything, there's still one castle boss that I think we all know is the best, being Zero himself. I mean, come on guys, any game where you have to fight Zero, it should be a no-brainer who the best castle boss is. Come on. I know I've said this fight is too easy, and it certainly is, but at the same time, this is easily the coolest and best fight in the entire game. You're literally fighting Zero. I mean, half the time I play Mega Man X2, I'm just looking forward for this very moment. Even in my video on how to beat Mega Man X2 the cool way, I deliberately did not collect the Zero parts just so I could face him. It's just too good of a fight both gameplay and story-wise, so congratulations Zero, you are the best castle boss from Mega Man X2. Mega Man X3 has several cool bosses for us to go over, but once again, I will say the weird mosquito and the dinosaur boss do not count because they're basically just cutscenes and not really castle boss material. So I mean, even if they did count, they obviously would not be the the best. But anyway, let's start with the Elephant Man. I mean, this castle boss on the screen right now that looks like an elephant. This guy is alright, and there's nothing really wrong with him, but he is the definition of mid. I mean, have you ever met anyone who's played Mega Man X3 and was like, oh yeah, my favorite boss is the one that looks like an elephant from the Sigma Castle? You know that one, right? No, I bet you haven't met anyone like that, because this guy is not the best. But again, he's not terrible, he's just mid. You could say the same thing about the underwater squid boss thing, but I think this guy's at least a little bit cooler. I can't tell you exactly why. I mean, maybe it's because he's underwater, or maybe he's just accumulated more cool points over the years, but either way, this squid will not cut it as the best either. Vile makes a return in this game, and this time he does count as a castle boss, and honestly, he is pretty cool. His fight is very easy, so that's gotta lose him some cool points in the cool department, but that does not mean he is a bad castle boss. I mean, I like Vile alright. Sure, I've been talking trash about him recently, but Vile has one of my favorite designs in Mega Man X because he looks like a cool purple Samus or a purple clone trooper from Star Wars. And either way, that's just cool. I don't know what his obsession with mechs is all about, but I'm not gonna judge either way. I will judge him, however, for having a repetitive and easy boss battle though, and that alone will stop him from being the best castle boss. Dr. Doppler is also pretty cool, mostly because he spends the entire game pretending to be the main villain and a scientist, so even if you did expect a boss fight from him, I assume most people expected him to be in some sort of machine like Dr. Wily or maybe the crazy old man from the last game, but this guy straight up faces you head on, which is super cool. And he even made a suit that heals himself when you attack him, which is overpowered and makes me wonder why more Mavericks don't incorporate this very technology into their own armor. But Dr. Doppler is just really cool in general. The only problem is the existence of God Car Machine Oinari. First of all, what a name, God Car Machine Oinari. That's already super cool. Secondly, this guy is a Dragon Ball Z fusion of bits and bytes, which is also super cool. And third, the boss fight isn't too easy or too boring. In fact, it's pretty challenging. So I think on all accounts, God Car Machine Oinari wins this debate. So congratulations, God Car Machine Oinari. You are the best castle boss from Mega Man X3. Mega Man X4 only has 4 castle bosses, and choosing the best one is going to be tricky. I mean, okay, I do already have one in mind, but let's slowly go over the ones that will not win because YouTube algorithm loves when I do that. First of all, the General is just too big. Similar to Ridley in Super Smash Bros, he's never going to get into the best castle boss slot. Wait, what was that? Ridley made it in? Are you serious? Well, good golly, Miss Molly. That does not mean the General will make it in though, but I guess I should elaborate a little bit more. While he certainly is too big and awkward to deal with, he just has a boring design and he seems like a worse version of the Colonel, which is ironic considering he's a general. Speaking of the Colonel, this guy is super cool. He has a nice military fit, a super cool looking red lightsaber, and he's Iris's dad, so I mean he's got a lot of cool stuff going for him. The only problem is he's way too easy, and you have to fight him twice, so he had a chance to get better at fighting in between those two fights, and he just didn't take the opportunity, which is shameful of someone for his rank. Double, on the other hand, was a spy undercover, which is pretty cool, at least I think that's what he was. I mean, he definitely turned evil, but I wasn't paying attention as to why. The only problem with Double is that he's kind of a weirdo before and after his evil transformation. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being weird, but I've never liked Double. I don't know what it is or how to explain it, but he just looks weird and I don't like him, okay? Plus, I think we all know Iris is going to be the best. I mean, it's Zero's girlfriend or something, and people seem to like Iris a lot, which is especially significant considering she's only really in this game and X-Dive as far as I'm aware. I mean, maybe she's in one of the Game Boy games, but I haven't played those. I will one day for a video, but either way, we're getting off track. Obviously, Iris is the best castle boss from Mega Man X4.
But before we move on to the second half of the Mega Man X series, I want to give an honorable mention to the best castle boss in real life, Queen Elizabeth. Oh wait, she's dead? Oh man, I didn't even know she was sick.
Mega Man X5 only has 3 castle bosses, and one of them is an obvious choice to be honest, so this should be very easy. But first of all, we have the Shadow Devil, and I mean, this guy is super cool. It's a devil boss, which I appreciate, and it's a shadow variant, which is just straight up cooler than most devil bosses. Now, I will say, this boss is annoying to face though, and it feels harder than most devil bosses, but because it is a devil boss, I will say this is acceptable because they aren't supposed to be easy. Just because the devil bosses from Mega Man 1 and 3 are easily cheesable and the other ones are just plain easy does not mean this one is required to have cheese. though it would be nice. We also have the return of Rangda Bangda, but he looks weirder now and is a lot easier. In fact, I say this is a downgrade from the original, but that doesn't really mean much when we are considering the fact that the original is amazing. And don't get me wrong, Rangda Bangda 2 is not bad or anything, it's just not as good as the original, and maybe not even as good as the Shadow Devil, but we'll talk more about that in detail if I make a video on the worst castle bosses, because, well, the castle boss we have remaining is obviously the best, being the X and Zero fight. Actually, wait, which one of those is better? Mega Man X or Zero? I mean, you get to fight both of them depending on who you play as, so this is actually harder than I thought. Fighting Mega Man X is very cool, especially since the game is called Mega Man X. I mean, who would have ever thought that we'd get to do that? But at the same time, if we take the story into account, which I seldomly do, then the Zero fight has got to be cooler. I mean, it just makes the most sense. So this is tough, and honestly, probably a tie, but I'm gonna give it to Zero just so I can say Zero wins the Best Castle Boss award again. So congratulations, Zero. You are the best castle boss from Mega Man X5. Mega Man X6 has the hardest castle bosses known to humankind, but one of them still has to be the best one. But it's not gonna be the Nightmare Devil. I mean, good grief. I hate everything about this boss. It's stupid, it's way too hard, it's ugly, and it's a devil boss. But it doesn't even look like a normal devil boss. It looks horrible and ugly, and I hate everything about this castle boss, so if I ever say this is the best castle boss under any circumstances, just know that I have been killed or assassinated and replaced by a government-mandated clone. Gate is also stupid just because he's lame. I mean, his design is cool, I guess, until you get to the actual castle boss where he's wearing all gold and it just looks weird. Plus, his boss fight is the most boring out of any of them in the game. He just sits around occasionally coming close to you as he shoves his balls in your face. And the only way to attack him is by hitting his balls back into his own face as revenge. And that's stupid, I hate that mechanic. This fight might be the easiest from Mega Man X6, but it just isn't fun at all, and Gate is annoying. High Max, on the other hand, despite being literally impossible to beat, is at the very least cool. He has a cool design, he has voice lines that sound cool, and again, even though his fight is literally impossible to beat, it is at least not as boring as Gates or the Nightmare Devil's fight. I have trash-talked High Max so much in the past few videos just because of how hard he is, but despite that, he has a great design and the fight is actually fun once you come to terms with the fact that you'll never be able to beat it. So I'm sure this is something that not many of you saw coming, but congratulations, High Max, you are the best castle boss from Mega Man X6. Mega Man X7 has one horrible abomination of a castle boss that should have been banned in the Geneva Convention, and one castle boss that's alright at best. The horrible castle boss is that stupid, awful, disgusting enemy crusher boss from the first Crimson Road stage. This guy makes you go through a 7-minute long auto-scroller where he slowly and agonizingly chases you down the entire time. This stage is absolutely torture, and to make it worse, the actual castle boss fight is easy as pie. He takes like 2 hits and then explodes, but nothing will make up for the years of my life I've lost to this 7-minute auto-scroller. And I am not implying that I've played enough Mega Man X7 that the 7-minute auto-scroller has wasted years of my life. But the stress that's been put on my mind and body while playing this stage has certainly shortened my life expectancy to a drastic degree. I hate everything about this stupid level, and the castle boss is just the mastermind behind all of it. If it wasn't an auto-scroller and you were able to move the screen at your own pace, I probably would not hate this castle boss as much, or even the level nearly as much. And I mean, sure, there's still horrible camera angles and cheap shot insta-kill spikes everywhere you go that make the level very stupid, but at least I'd be able to go fast. Well, fast in Mega Man X7 standards, but you know what I mean. Either way, I hate this castle boss with all my heart, and you should too. The other castle boss from this game is Red, and I mean, he's okay, I guess. He's not that great, and he's honestly a little bit lame, but he's leagues better than the stupid Crusher castle boss, and that's enough for me. So congratulations, Red. You are the best castle boss from Mega Man X7. Mega Man X8 only has 2 castle bosses since we still aren't counting Sigma or Lumine, and if you're wondering why we are not counting Lumine, it's because I think Lumine plays the role of a Sigma boss in this game, with it being the final boss battle and everything, so that would not be fair to consider for this video. Otherwise, Lumine easily wins, I mean, come on. But me and my subscribers have decided that Copy Sigma does not count as Sigma on account of not being Sigma, so the best castle boss is going to be between Vile and Copy Sigma. And I've been giving Vile some nice praises in this video, and for good reason, but I gotta admit, I did not like the redesign in Mega Man X8. Why is he green? And not even a cool shade of green. What was wrong with purple? Also, why are you still super easy to fight? Why is your castle boss so annoying? There's lots of unanswered questions about this new green Vile, and unless it's because he's eco-friendly, none of them could possibly be good. Plus, just to be real, no one likes waiting 40 minutes for that electric attack to finish. If Vile was able to be attacked out of this electrical attack, then sure, he might have a horse in this race, but he's not, and it's annoying. Copy Sigma, on the other hand, is pretty cool. First of all, the design of Sigma being copied is a good design, which is not always the case when it comes to Sigma and his mini cosplays. And the fight is actually pretty fun. And let's not even mention the fact that fake Sigma or copy Sigma has never been done before, so this was a great plot twist. There's a lot of great things to be said about copy Sigma, but I think the most important one is the fact that he is the best castle boss from this game. So congratulations, copy Sigma, you are the best castle boss from Mega Man X8!
Those were the best castle bosses from every Mega Man X game, X through X8. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because you already know we're going to do the worst castle bosses next time, so leave a comment down below on what you think the worst castle boss from each game is, and maybe I'll listen to your comment and feature it in the video, who knows, but there is a risk to that, because I might also get mad at your comment and feature it in the video making fun of you, so comment at your own risk, I suppose. It could be dangerous.